I'm Timothy Vigil, and this is Just Another Word, the word podcast for storytellers. Episode 47, Prudent. Characterized by arising from or showing ability to govern and discipline oneself by the use of reason. In a medium that often rewards the impulsive hero, the one who leaps before they look, there is a quiet, steady power in the character who stops and thinks, who makes plans and follows through. Today, we look at the thinkers, the planners, and the guardians of the next step. Today's word is prudent. The word is a contraction of the Middle English provident, which comes from the Latin providere, meaning to see ahead. A prudent character is literally foreseeing. They are seeing that is coming next. They aren't just reacting to conflict in front of them, they are calculating the consequences of their actions weeks, months, or even years in advance. It's the wisdom of the long game. A masterful example of the idea of someone who is prudent is Perrin Aybara from Robert Jordan's The Wheel of Time. In the opening chapters of the very first book, we see a young man who is exceptionally cautious with his movements and his speech. Because of his physical size and strength, he is aware that a careless gesture could break something, and a careless word can fracture a relationship. Perrin's prudence isn't born from fear, but of a profound sense of responsibility. He understands that his actions impact the people around him, and he refuses to make their lives harder through negligence. Throughout the series, this trait allows him to take into account a multitude of beliefs from the people around him and all of their various points of view. His growth into a great leader isn't just a result of a sudden burst of heroic impulsiveness. It's the result of a lifelong commitment of being careful, of thinking things through, of planning ahead, of being cautious and aware of what is going to happen next. In our own world, the ever so boring accountant might be one of our best symbols of prudence. Their job is defined by the management of practical affairs through meticulous planning and the understanding of risk. They are spending every day making decisions based on both the past and the future, and making sure that everything is lining up as it should. This is a fantastic trait to give a character who carries a heavy burden of responsibility, regardless of what that scope is. Prudence is beneficial at every single level of the social strata. Think of a king. A prudent monarch could avoid unnecessary wars and manage grain stores for winter if they are prudent and thoughtful, if they are thinking through their actions and their choices, if they are doing what is best for the realm rather than taking the rash decisions that might be best for them in a moment. If you take an average, ordinary citizen in our world, a prudent parent is someone who saves for a rainy day and teaches their children the value of a measured response. Prudence in this case is the idea of understanding what you have and living within that. By giving your character an awareness of their resources, whether those are gold or soldiers or words, you make them feel grounded and reliable. A prudent character might not feel like the most exciting to write, but they are sometimes the most enjoyable to read and the most valuable to your story. They think before they act. It gives them less chance of falling into a trap, but it also makes them more likely to wait too long. Every trait has a push and a pull. Prudence is incredibly valuable in a character because it gives them a sense of thinking things through, but it can be a detriment. So just because you're taking something that might feel like, oh, this makes them kind of boring, remember that there is always a negative behind every positive trait. And while prudence is often a virtue of a heroic character, something that a brash character might need to learn throughout the story, I think it's actually best used as an incredible tool for building tension, particularly when you apply this to an antagonist or to a setting. Think about a story that involves a heist. If you are writing about a prudent security, you create a far more satisfying obstacle than lax security. If the vault is guarded by multiple redundant systems and by guards who actually follow the protocols, who don't leave easy gaps and make simple mistakes, the protagonist has to find a way around that. They have to solve the puzzle of getting through this. They have to create distractions. They have to take more risks. And this will create a better sense of an earned victory by your protagonist when the obstacles aren't easily overcome and when those people who are their obstacles are being prudent and smart. The audience wants to see a clever solution to a difficult problem, not a lucky break in a lazy one. Another way that prudence works really well is in your antagonist. An antagonist who is brutally prudent can be terrifying because they don't leave loose threads. They check their work. They have contingency plan upon contingency plan. If the hero is going to escape, they know what they're going to do. If they are trying to blow something up, they have a second bomb. A prudent antagonist creates loops that make it harder for your hero to ever win because they close all of the easy doors. They force the protagonist to grow and innovate if they want to survive. Ultimately, prudence reminds us that the most effective action is often one taken after a moment of reflection. When someone stops and thinks, they almost always make better choices. So in your next draft, look at your protagonist. Are they always leaping into the action? What happens if you give them the burden of foresight? If you make them stop and take a thought? Or better yet, what if you give your villain a prudent streak and see how much harder your hero has to work to find the crack in that armor? I'm Timothy Vigil, and this has been Just Another Word. Happy writing.